So today, my legal update is discussing the top three pitfalls in purchasing commercial property subject to existing loans. So, subject to purchasing of property is very prevalent in the residential um, market. It happens a lot. There's a lot of activity. There's a lot of subject to transactions that take place in residential. And we're starting to see more and more in commercial. But there are some things that make commercial different than residential, and some pitfalls that if you don't really know what to look for and you're not aware of it, you could run into it, and it will make potentially taking a property subject to existing loans in the commercial space um, detrimental because you approach it like it's a residential transaction and it isn't. So there's a number of pitfalls, but I'm going to just cover the what I have given the top three. There it may or may not be any scientific list here, but it's what I've come up with as the top three. So the first is the length of the loan. So in commercial, loans tend to be very short. So there's generally a not very, but a 5 year, 10 year balloon payment associated with commercial loans versus residential. It's 30 years. So the commercial loan might be amortized out over 30 years, or it might be interest only, and it's going to have a balloon in 5 or 10 years. It has to be paid off. The owner has to refinance or sell the property, but or come up with the cash and pay off the loan. But it's a much shorter loan time frame than what you find on a residential transaction. The second thing that you find in commercial is a greater lender involvement or oversight. So a lot of times these commercial loans are not um, securitized, right? They're actually held by the bank that made the loan. And so these lenders are very protective of their portfolio. They are, you know, consistently monitoring the portfolio, and many times the loan documents have provisions in them that state that the borrower has to provide regular financial information to the lender regarding their business, so the lender can make sure that, hey, this is still a sound loan, everything's good, um, and we're going to get paid. And so if you have a very active lender, a lender that has more involvement than what you find on the residential side, more oversight, they're wanting financial information, they're coming and they're visiting the property, they're making sure that their portfolio checks out and every property in their portfolio is doing well. um, you know, at that point, you're going to have a lender who's going to come and say, well, who are you? Why are you here? Why are you occupying the property? Why are you operating the property or the business that's operating on the property? They're going to be more involved. And when they find out that you've acquired the property subject to their loan, they, being as protective as they are of the portfolio, they're likely to invoke the due on sale clause and take the steps that they need under the or they have a right to pursue under the due on sale clause um, to basically accelerate the debt and require that the loan be paid in full. So that's number two. The third thing is using the incorrect purchase contract. So there's a number of residential purchase contracts out there that can be utilized for the subject to scenario. However, commercial is a whole different animal when it comes to the transaction, the due diligence. We had attorney Michael Gross on about a month back, and we laid out really the difference between residential and commercial. And commercial is a much more complicated transaction. You should not be using a residential purchase contract to acquire a commercial property. It's going to be a much larger contract. It's going to have different protections in there, greater protections for both the seller and the buyer. It's going to have, different due diligence requirements. It will have a longer inspection period. Maybe there's entitlements such as rezoning or special use permits that have to be obtained. There's going to be a lot involved in the commercial purchase contract. And so you cannot and should not use a residential purchase contract to try to acquire commercial property. So those are the top three things to watch out for when pursuing commercial property subject to existing loans. So the first is the length of the loan. The second is lender involvement or oversight. And then the third is using the correct purchase contract.